Amber and I married approximately a year ago. With our jobs, we were both in good situations. We'd known each other since college and had been in a long-term relationship. Amber's an engineer and I'm a doctor, therefore we're both constantly busy with our jobs. However, in recent months, we've continued to spend time together. However, I've observed some significant differences, such as Amber's habit of arriving home late, claiming that she had to work overtime at the workplace, and her weekend plans, which she never included me in. She used to say things like, "You'll feel weird about my friends." I didn't pay attention to these things at first, but as the situation worsened, alarm bells went ringing in my thoughts. I decided to speak to my best buddy, Lucas, who happened to be Amber's co-worker. I figured he would be able to shed some light on Amber's unusual habits and behaviour. When I called him though, he gave me vague responses and avoided answering most of my questions. To be honest, he was acting suspiciously. He informed me that Amber was in charge of a major project at work, but Amber had previously informed me that she was working on some pressing tasks. I couldn't decide who to believe. I wasn't sure if my reservations about Amber were valid. One day I was reading a book and came across a reference to a lie detector technique. It mentioned things like checking a person's blood pressure and pulse to see if they were lying. Something occurred to me, and I wondered if I might be able to put Amber and Lucas through a lie detector test to discover the truth behind their words. It was going to be difficult, because why would they agree to do it in the first place? I required a well thought out strategy. I located a professional that specializes in this type of exam and told him about my situation, and he agreed to assist me. I informed Lucas that I needed his assistance with a project, and he was skeptical at first, but I assured him that the experiment had no negative consequences. He reluctantly agreed to assist me. I told Amber the same thing, and I warned them both that the specialist would ask them some strange things. They were hesitant, so I had to make up a bunch of stories about medical issues to persuade them. They had some kind of advanced equipment on them, according to the professional who made them sit in respective chairs. I sat across from them, watching the specialist's desktop, which was connected to the equipment, and would obstinately display the results. After a few more easy inquiries, the specialist signaled for me to ask for questions. "How come you're always late?" I started with Amber. "Because I work overtime," she explained, frowning. Her heart was pounding, so I looked at the monitor, which clearly revealed she was lying. What is it about Amber that she is usually late after office hours? I had a question for Lucas. "How come you're asking such strange questions?" Lucas inquired. "Besides, you have nothing to worry about. You were telling me the truth after all, right?" "It's only an experiment," I said calmly. "Yes, so Amber is late because she's working overtime on a critical assignment," Lucas muttered. Then everything they had told me until now were lies, so my hunch was correct. I had the feeling they were both concealing something significant from me. I didn't want to consider the possibilities, but they were there. I had to ask them directly, regardless of how they felt about me. "Are you seeing someone behind my back?" I questioned Amber. "Of course not," she exclaimed. The monitor, on the other hand, said otherwise. She was deceiving us once more. I turned to Lucas and decided to ask him one last question.
No, don't throw it away.
"Are you attracted to Amber?" I had no choice but to hand it over to him. He was a natural actor, morphing his features into a surprised expression. "Are you alright, Gabriel? What are you talking about? Amber? She's just a wonderful friend and co-worker. Why would I be attracted to her?" He was lying yet again. Both of these made me stand up and shake my head. I informed them that they were no longer required to lie. This was not an experiment, it was a lie detector exam, and I appreciate their taking it and putting my suspicions to rest. Amber immediately gasped and called me a liar, which made me giggle. Was lying to them such a serious offence in comparison to what they had done? My wife and my best friend were having an affair behind my back and had the audacity to tell me about it. Amber had made me the villain, and I couldn't believe her. It's been a week since that incident and I still don't know what I was doing right or wrong. I didn't want to talk to Lucas, and I left my house because I couldn't stand seeing Amber. She tried to contact me many times asking me for my forgiveness, but at that moment I just wanted to divorce her. And eventually I did. She was lying straight to my face. Asking me for forgiveness was petty. I moved out and rented a small apartment, and now I'm ready to start a new life, leaving everything behind. Taylor and I met in our junior year of college and began dating. She was my first, and for a long time I believed she would be my last. Until our crazy schedules, intense classes, and everything started to take a turn for the worst. We began to see each other less frequently. We eventually got to the point where we only saw each other once a week, and we were clearly not cut out for a long-distance relationship. We had to call it quits. But we did so gently, and everything was okay between us. Until Taylor's true colours were revealed. I realised I'd lost my wallet 2 days after the breakup, due to the fact that I usually buy things using my phone. When Taylor called and said that she had my wallet with her, I was confused. Maybe when I carried my belongings from her apartment I must have forgotten it. She told me to meet her at the north coast at the beach. I thought that was odd. I didn't question it because I trusted her. After all, she used to care about me. When I arrived, she offered to show me an incredible underwater tunnel she'd discovered. In good faith, I nodded. She drove me to an isolated spot on the beach where there was a cave opening. I followed her into the cave. The cave's water level was rising in sync with its length. We were soon deep within, with the water almost reaching our chests. That's when Taylor quickly came and caught me off guard. She shoved me deeper into the cave and quickly swam away. I choked on the water as I was coming up for air.
I'm so hungry.
But I couldn't see anything. It had become dark and suffocating all of a sudden. When I tried to paddle forward, I hit a rock. From behind the rock, I heard two voices. Taylor was one of them, and the other was an unknown man. I called for him to assist me, but he didn't respond. That's when it dawned on me. All of this was Taylor's plan to trap me here. She asked the guy to push this rock to trap me in. While I was still confused about what was going on, I heard a voice from Taylor up there. It was as if she couldn't have me, then no one would. I was surprised. Was this because I flirted with some girls at school? Is she jealous of that? But why does she have to do this? She most likely stole my wallet on purpose in order to get me here, and I fell right into her trap. The most difficult problem in front of me now was to stay alive. I wasn't a fish, I was a human who couldn't survive in water for minutes. My lungs were burning and my breath was being taken out of me. I tried to tilt my head backwards to get away from the water, but it merely pulled me back in and into my nose. I was about to give up hope of living when an idea occurred to me. I placed both hands against the cave walls either side of me and pushed myself up with all of my energy. It was successful! I could breathe now as the water was up to my chin, but I couldn't stay in that pose for long because I didn't have enough strength. I injured my arm and neck muscles. After a few minutes I was ready to quit up, but a ray of faith kept me going. I couldn't be confident that someone would come look for me, so I had to put up with it. It had been a long time. I had no idea how much time had passed and I was beginning to feel quite suffocated. My hands were pleading with me to break down the barriers and I was running out of energy. I thought about giving up, accepting my fate. When light fell on my face, I blinked, gasping in relief. 2 divers were moving a rock out of the way when they noticed me. I collapsed in the water after finally releasing my hole in the wall. The divers dragged me out of the cave and carried me out. I passed out due to exhaustion. Later, I discovered that I had been locked in that cave for nearly an hour and a half, and that the beach authorities had assigned divers for daily inspection and cleanliness. They needed to examine the cave, so they shoved the rock and found me inside. I was rescued and sent to hospital because I was so drained. Following the incident, the cops questioned why I was in the cave. I explained the scenario and filed a report against Taylor. Taylor and the unknown guy were convicted to prison for murdering people on purpose after a lengthy investigation. I guess I'll have to be more careful about who I date now.